right, we're getting started. Let's take this thing off. Okay. We are live here from ATL BitLab to do our Cloud Lightning Node workshop. If you cannot hear us, please say something in the chat. Otherwise, I assume everything's all good. Just gonna go ahead and comment here. You're live, comment in the chat if you have issues hearing us. Okay, Grant says we're sounding good. Awesome. Okay, so I'm Stephen DeLorme. I've got Nitesh right here. You can't see him on camera, but we're going to be kind of tag teaming this workshop and all of that. So we're just going to be looking at how to set up Cloud Lightning Node. Text the Atlanta, for anybody like listening in online, the Atlanta BitPlebs meetup has been kind of doing some going over the first couple chapters of Mastering Lightning. So a lot of people are learning about Lightning for the first time. So we wanted to do a workshop where we could actually get everybody set up with their own node. Now that everybody's been doing so much reading about Lightning. So I think we're going to do two things today. We're gonna start off looking at this on Voltage, which is where I work. I'm a product designer there, and this is kind of the easy way to do it. And we're just kind of go through some basic stuff like how to set up a node, how to get a channel, how to do a backup so that your funds are safe and secure and all that. And then if I didn't mention how to open a channel, and then we can send and receive a Lightning payment using the channel we just made. And then Nitesh is going to show us if we want to do the same thing, but actually, instead of running it on Voltage servers, if you want to do it a little bit more manually, how would you do that? And that'll help you kind of understand under the hood a little bit better what's going on. So yeah, cool. Any questions, comments before we get started? Anyone? Cool. All right, so I am here at voltage.cloud. This is where we're going to start off. So if you don't already have a Voltage account, you just need to sign up for one. So I'm going to do that here. I am going to actually, let's see, my other screen here, I'm going to make myself a email address I can use. Give me 1 second. I'm going to call it Voltage Demo. Awesome. So now I'm going to put in my email address here, and I'm going to put in a secret password. Okay, so then the next thing it's going to do is it's going to send you an email, and there's going to be a number in the email, and all you got to do is you just got to type that in here to verify that you own the email. So I'm looking at email on the other laptop here. Okay. All right, so we're in now. So this is the basic dashboard for Voltage. We're actually doing some work on this kind of internally, and so there's going to be eventually a new dashboard rolling out, but this is the current interface right here. And we are going to just go to nodes right here. That's the primary product that we're interested in today. And then we're going to create a node. And right now, we basically just want to go to LND. I would this one here, the BTC Pay Server one, is only useful for us once we've already created a Lightning node. The Bitcoin Core node, I would just ignore that. That's like for advanced use cases and not really applicable to what we need. So we're just going to make LND node. And there's a couple different ones that we have here. I think for today's purposes, actually, one thing I should probably back up real quick and just talk about billing, since we're doing this as part of a workshop. So if I go to, let's see, account details and then billing. Okay, so I just joined. So I have a credit. It says welcome to Voltage. And it's basically a $10 account credit. So what that means is that that's going to give us a little bit of leeway here so we can actually start up our node, and it'll be paid for by those credits. If we don't decide we don't want to use our node anymore, we can turn the node off before we run out of credits, and then won't be charged anything. So this is a good way to kind of demo out the service and see if you like it before you actually commit to paying for it. So just wanted to provide that context before we dive in. So we're going to say, what would you like to do? Go to nodes, create a node, create an L&D node, and then we get to choose which one we want to do. And as we can see, there's different prices. We have a light node, we have a standard node, and then professional node, and then we can do it between mainnet or testnet. For today's purposes, we're going to do a light node just because that's really cheap. It's $12 a month, and we can successfully turn that off without having to pay for it if we decide we don't want to use it. So that's what I'm going to recommend. If you're experimenting and you just want to kind of test it out, dip your toe in the water, I would probably recommend the light node. If this is the kind of thing that you see yourself using frequently all the time, you might want to go with a standard node. Nitesh, do you have any thoughts, comments on neutrino versus running with a full node? Or
if you're running a routing node, neutrino is probably not that of a good idea because it's okay with reliability. If you have a full node running and it's running on the same machine as L&D, it's more reliable when it talks to Bitcoin Core versus neutrino, where you have to pull from another source over a port and IP address. So it's more reliable to run a standard node. But for example, I have a second or a third node, whatever, that I used to receive just Zap payments on Nostr, for example. And so those are just a few sats here and there I send back and forth, right? But I have a routing node which has some Bitcoin on it, several Bitcoin on it. So that needs to be more reliable. So I use a standard node. So it really depends on the use case, but for testing out light node is very more than good enough.
Awesome, thanks. Yeah. I just realized Grant says in the chat that we might be sharing the wrong tab because I don't see the Voltage homepage. Yeah, that's really weird, Grant. I think something might be frozen.
Yeah,
because here, let me see what happens if I stop sharing it and then reshare it. Weird.
So if you have a business, then well, it's not if you have a business or not. If you have the node, the full node or not, right?
Yeah.
To use standard versus,
right.
For example, for a store, if they don't have a node running, it will be the same thing. They will go with the light node.
Yes. Well, if you're a business that accepts a lot of payments, the volume is pretty high, then you probably want to go with a proper standard node. But if it's just occasionally you receive I don't know, tips or something very minimal.
But if you're a coffee shop, for example, you should do a standard.
Yeah, you should probably do a standard node.
Yeah. When would you use the professional node?
I mean, I would use that if you're probably really you're a company that's expecting a lot of volume.
Okay.
You're a company that I would just say if you're a company that has anything to do with Lightning and you just need this massive node with lots of liquidity on lots of uptime, I do professional.
Well, I don't know if you noticed or not, the light and the standard node are running on Tor, and the professional one has Tor and ClearNet support.
Yeah.
So I guess like Steven said, if you're a company with a lot of volume, ClearNet is obviously more reliable than Tor. So you might want to go the professional node route.
So I want to recap a little bit of that very briefly because I think everyone online heard that they couldn't see it because of some bug with the screen share. So let's just recap that, do that real quick here. Let's go back to, I'm trying to think. Let's go to. Okay, so one thing we looked at was we logged in and I showed off the billing real quick. So just if you need to, this is how you get to the billing section. And what I was trying to demonstrate earlier is that because this is a brand new voltage account, we have a node credit for $10. So this gives you a little bit of a grace period. If you just want to test out the Lightning node and see if you want to run it on voltage, you can use these credits to be able to experiment, and then you can turn your node off, if you don't like it. But if you do want to keep running it, then you would have to start adding more money to your account to keep your node running. So we're here at the main page. What would you like to do? Nodes and flow. So Grant asked in the chat what flow is. So flow is basically a way to buy inbound liquidity for your node. It's like a way to buy channels. I'll go ahead and say that like this is the existing flow, and I've used it successfully before to buy channels for my node. But we actually have a flow 2.0 that's rolling out. So right now it's only a flow 2.0 is only on testnet, but flow 2.0 is going to be way better in that basically you'll be able to buy these like what they're called just-in-time channels. But that'll send us a little into more advanced territory. So I'll just go ahead and say, yeah, flow is good. Check it out if you need to buy channels, but it's going to be kind of overhauled in the future. All right, so what we're going to do, so we're going to look at nodes. That's the main thing we're going to look at. And like I was saying before, we're going to ignore this for today. We're just going to go make a Lightning node. And this is kind of what we were talking about. So this is the neutrino. And Jordan had asked about this before we got started. If we talk a little about neutrino, that's essentially like you're not talking to, you don't have a core full Bitcoin node hooked up to your Lightning node. You're just getting kind of like block data from filters. So you're asking other nodes to send you block filters. So like that's a much lighter weight thing to run, but like Nitesh was pointing out, it might not be good if you are running a big routing node or whatever. And then you're saying standard. If you wanted to run a routing node, you probably want something actually backed by a Bitcoin node. And then if you were like a business that just having a huge Lightning node is mission critical to your business, then you'd want like this professional one. Yeah, so every Lightning node basically has to talk to a Bitcoin node. So any Lightning channel it's going to be like we say that we're taking in Lightning, we're spending funds off chain, but every Lightning channel is represented by an on-chain transaction on Bitcoin. So any Lightning node has to be able to like monitor the blockchain to make sure that the channel state is healthy. That we're getting a little bit technical territory there, and I'm happy to go into that. Yeah. So so any Lightning node, it has to be able to see blockchain data in some way. And so for a lighter weight like Lightning node, you can just get away with neutrino. But for like one that needs like constant uptime and constant routing, lots of channels, you actually need to have your own Bitcoin node to talk to. So, but for today, we're just going to do a light node just because that's cheap and we can do that and test it out, like I said, under the free credit, see if we like it. And then again, I wouldn't mess with testnet ever because unless you're like a developer or something and you have a reason to, you're probably going to be, it's going to be easier to use mainnet.
And also to use testnet, then you have to go through the process of having Bitcoin and all of that. You have
to have testnet Bitcoin, and sometimes that's a little bit trickier to track down.
Exactly.
I sometimes joke that it's scarcer than regular Bitcoin. It's because the only people who need it are developers, and so like regular people aren't going to like mine testnet Bitcoin and send each other testnet Bitcoin. So when you're a developer, you need to test. It's like actually kind of hard to find. So anyways, I'm just going to create this. And we're going to give it a name, and I'll just say ATL demo node, and then we're going to give it secret password. Now, this password is very, very important here.
This is different than the password to log in, right?
Correct. Yes, correct. Yeah, this password is different than the one that you used to log in. And this Voltage does not know this password, and this is basically like this encrypts your node's macaroon. So this is how you would access this node in the future. So if you lost this password, you're gonna have difficulty, restoring your funds. All of this information, take that to heart. All right, so we're gonna create our node now. Don't save. I'm pretty sure I remember what I just typed, but we'll find out in 5 minutes. All right, so now our node is being created.
What is that option? Restore existing node from seed and starting channel backup.
That's a good question. So let's say that that's basically like, let's say I was running the Lightning node somewhere else, and I had a backup of it, I could then take it and then move it to voltage. Or if I had another voltage down and I took the node down, but I created a backup of it, I would be able to restore it from the backup.
Said my node name wasn't right. Is there a name?
You said the node name is.
It says this node name is not valid.
Do you mind saying what it is, or is it?
I just put PC test.
I'm not sure what that is. Maybe it's a situation where they have like certain words locked down. I'm not sure.
Are there spaces in it? Yeah, there are spaces.
Oh,
Try putting hyphens in the middle. Okay.
Yeah, what's going to happen is like, you'll actually, be able to see that. I think that appears in the URL of your node somewhere. So it needs to be like no spaces. I would just like lowercase and hyphen the whole thing.
Yeah, well, no matter what I type in on, it will.
Thanks for getting up and looking. I locked down over here at the laptop. Everyone online, we're going to just hang on for a moment here, make sure we get everybody up to speed with us. Cool. So everybody's got into the node page, it sounds like. So here I am at my home page for this node, like after I've spun it up. So you can see it's a little bit locked down. It says enter the node's password unlocked, like the macaroon thing is red. And then if I go down here, give me some little bit of technical info about my node. I can access the macaroon and the certificate for it and some other stuff. So one thing I'll go ahead and say, this is like a good way to, you got to be careful with this. We're going to be dealing with real Bitcoin here. So I can't see the seed right now, but we're going to want to back this up very soon. So let me just go ahead and just type in the password that I made in the first step. I'm going to say unlock. Okay. So now, like here in the browser, it's decrypted the macaroon, and now we can access our node. And I'm not going to do this on a live stream because we are going to be dealing with real Bitcoin, but at some point you're going to want to, if you want to keep your node running, you're going to want to hit this show button right here, and it's going to show you your Bitcoin seed phrase. And so you're going to want to do that in someplace safe, not in like a coffee shop where people can like look over your shoulder and stuff like that. Do it at home, do it in your office, something like that. But like write that down, secure it safely, all of that. There's other ways that we can back up our node too, but this is like you want to have that, just in case something ever happens to this node.
And that's the seed phrase for just the node.
Yeah, for the Bitcoin that this node manages. Yeah. So we're gonna do that. So I think.
Just a question.
Yeah,
What is the danger zone? When do you use that? Because it says delete node.
Danger zone. That's like that just means like if I really wanted to. They're calling it that because they don't want you to accidentally press the button.
Okay.
So
But if you, I think that if you click the button, you will have like a confirmation screen or something.
I hope so, but I'm not gonna call it.
Okay. But you delete a node because of, for example, if it's corrupt or something, and you should remove your Bitcoins from there before, or you have to have like a.
Yeah, you got to be careful before deleting your node. Let's say you're a really advanced Lightning node operator, then what you could do is you could back up the seed phrase to your node, this one here. You could back up the seed phrase. You could back up a static channel backup of all your channels, and you could take it and rebuild that node somewhere else. That's more advanced. For most practical, beginning Lightning users, I'd say you really want to get all your Bitcoin off the node and make sure that there's just no Bitcoin managed by the node, and then just delete the node, and then you never have to worry about it. Once your Bitcoin is on the node, you can just safely delete it.
And just so you know, when you click on delete it comes up with a confirmation where you have to type in the node name, so it's not going to delete it if you accidentally do that.
Okay, cool.
Grant
Yeah,
asks, do node names need to be unique? I don't know. My assumption would be that yes, they do, but I'm not sure. Like on the Lightning Network, that's not really a thing, but on Voltage's platform, yeah, they might need to be unique. Why don't we just go ahead and make a Thunderhub dashboard real quick. If we go down here, there's this thing that says dashboards, and the basic ideas here is like we are running on like a shared cloud platform, so we're not going to like if you were doing this like Nitesh style, we would be like SSHing from the command line in, but we're just doing this voltage styles, so we're just going to create a Thunderhub dashboard. It says instances expire after 60 minutes of inactivity. That's again because Voltage can't like access your funds, so we spin up like a temporary Thunderhub dashboard using the macaroon that we decrypted here in the web browser, and then once if we stop using the Thunderhub dashboard after an hour of not using it, it's just going to die. And then, but that's okay. We can make a new Thunderhub dashboard next time we log in, and it's just kind of spinning its wheel. We just got to wait for the dashboard to appear. You can play around and look at some other tabs while we're here. This is like the identity pub key of our node. So that's like kind of like our unique identifier on the Lightning Network. This is the onion address to our node right here. So it's basically the Lightning pub key at, and then this is a Tor hidden services. So blah, 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 .onion, port 9735. So
That's what you will use to open channels.
yeah, you can. Yeah, you can use that. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. A lot of times when you make contact with another node, it's basically just whatever their pub key at domain. And in this case, we're using Tor. Up. Oops. I moved the laptop the wrong way. All right, let's go look at our dashboard. All right, our Thunderhub dashboard has finished provisioning. So now we're going to say launch dashboard. And then again, we're going to use the same password that we used on the other screen to decrypt our macaroon. And so Thunderhub, for anyone who isn't aware, Thunderhub is like an open source project. And it's basically like a dashboard for kind of doing node management stuff. So it definitely gets pretty technical at places, but it's easier than doing it from the command line if you're not familiar with the command line. Okay. Oh, you don't? It might be if you haven't unlocked the node. That might be what's up.
So back to the Thunderhub thing.
Yeah.
Thunderhub, that's something you should use to URI. So, okay.
Yeah, Thunderhub is just for like node management kind of stuff. Like some people, like if you're using like Umbrel or something like that, like some people manage their node using something like that. But we're not using Umbrel right now, so we need another way, like visual way to manage our node. So Thunderhub is just what we're using in this way.
So we will put our public key in Thunderhub and be able to manage the node.
Well, actually, setting up Thunderhub, on your own is a little bit complicated. But from Voltage, all you have to do is just click create a Thunderhub dashboard.
Got it. So I don't need to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even if you have Umbrel, and you just from Umbrel, you just install Thunderhub, and you will have all those things.
Got it.
Okay, this is something important to pay attention to.
Okay, so you're back to
Yeah. Let me wait for Jordan to finish helping him, and then I want to dig into what we have going on this screen here.
But you got to that through Voltage, right? Yes.
Did you find your URIs thing?
Yeah, I didn't download Thunderhub.
That's cool. Just want to make sure it's good. All right, so I want to talk about this real quick. I actually went out of Thunderhub and I just went back to my nodes page, and this little box appeared, and I just wanted to make sure we should talk about this while it's here. So it says, need a channel. Voltage can attempt to open a channel so your node can receive SAT. So this is just like a little kind of perk Voltage offers for like your very first time spinning up a node. It can sometimes be difficult for people to figure out how to get connected to Lightning and all that. So it's just kind of like a little perk we offer. So it says need a channel. We'll open a channel with you, so we can request the channel right here, and your new channel is opening. So it's going to take a little bit. Grant has been asked a question online. Is it possible to run a C Lightning on a node on Voltage using a custom built node? Not at the moment. We definitely see Lightning. What are we talking about? Core Lightning. Core Lightning is something that we're definitely looking at. So we don't at this time support Core Lightning, but it's like on the roadmap eventually. It's going to be happening. Your new channel is pending. After enough block confirmations, you can start using the channel. Watch the process here. So let's see where that takes us. Mempool.space, everybody's favorite block explorer. So if you remember from what you read in Mastering Lightning, every Lightning channel start, begins, and ends with an on-chain transaction. So what's happening here is we have a transaction ID that we've linked to, and this is basically the channel open right here. And so you can see what's happened here. If we just want to nerd out about Bitcoin for a moment here, this was the input. So this was the Bitcoin that went into the transaction, and this is what's going out. And I believe I want to say this one is the channel that I'm getting right here, the 500,000 sats. And then this is going to be like a change output right here. But then, so if I go to this address right here, it's unconfirmed, but it's kind of cool. Mempool.space will actually recognize Lightning channels now, I've noticed. If it sees it correlated with a node, it will actually flag it as a Lightning channel. But it's still an unconfirmed transaction. It's still in the mempool. We can see it right here. It's on this side of the divide, so it means it's still in the mempool, and we're still waiting. I'm curious to see. If I go to ThunderHub, will it tell me anything about this?
Can you go to channels on the left?
Yes.
No, it still doesn't show.
Pending right over here.
Pending. Okay.
So if we see it, my node actually sees it, and so there's this node called Voltage C1. It's just like one of our nodes we use to hook people up with liquidity and stuff. And then it says status opening peer Voltage C1. So I can actually click this, and you'll notice this will take me to Amboss. One thing you might be noticing, like kind of in the Bitcoin ecosystem here, is like a lot of the products and services people build. We like to be interoperable with each other and like use other people's tools. So Amboss is basically a site that provides like analytics about Lightning nodes and stuff. And so at Voltage, we don't have to rebuild that functionality. We can just link out to Amboss and say, if you want to learn about anybody's Lightning node, you can just go see some stats on the node, and it'll tell you like this is what the node's like Tor address is. This is like some historical data about the channels and the capacity. We got this fun little channel map, shows all the different channels the node has. So kind of fun stuff. And then similarly, like with like opening a channel, we don't need, oh, hey, look, our channel just got confirmed in a block. Nice. Yeah, so like all this stuff, like within Voltage and ThunderHub and all that, we all like link to each other's services and stuff. So
Okay, so I have a question.
Yeah.
So in this case, when you click the request channel, what it's doing is opening a channel for you, but where are the funds coming from? Because when in Umbro, for example, you do it manually, and then you have to put funds on that one to open a channel, right?
Yeah.
And you're not doing any of that, and I haven't put any money in here yet.
Yep.
So
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, so like when the process you're talking about is if you do that from Umbral and you have to start the funds, so what you're doing is you are opening a channel to somebody else. So that's being like okay, I want to be able to send people money, so I'm going to put some Bitcoin on my node on chain, and then I'm going to open a channel with Jordan's node. That enables me to send money out. We're doing the reverse in this case. We're saying I want to be able to receive Bitcoin to my Lightning node. So Voltage is going to open the Voltage node up there in the cloud. Is going to open a channel with me. It's the reverse.
But that Bitcoin that they're gonna send me.
So they're not sending me Bitcoin in this case. What's happening here is they're opening a channel that's like worth 500,000 sats, and it means you now have the capability to receive 500,000 sats. So they're giving you liquidity so that you can start. And
they are the ones getting the charge for opening the channel?
They're paying the transaction fee, yeah.
Okay,
but what they're hoping, and the reason it's one, it's just a perk because we want people to have a good experience on the platform. But two, then the Voltage node can earn routing fees every time you receive something. So there's like a market incentive to extend this liquidity to people.
And if anybody else is having an issue, mine says Voltage channel creation failed. Our node is out of funds. Please try again later. So sometimes that happens.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you were running a node, if you want to run a node, could you pick who you connect it with?
Yeah, you sure can.
So can I run two nodes and just connect to myself?
Yeah.
And then I missed a couple of classes, so I apologize for asking. So you have less risk of, like, let's say you want to open a channel like half of Bitcoin, right? But you open it up with whatever, so there's some trust. I mean, like I know there was a kind of way you could potentially like close a channel or something like that, but do you minimize that if you open up one yourself? Like 2 quarters, like a.
No, I would say I wouldn't think about it that way. For one thing, I push back on the idea that there's trust there. Really,
Okay.
the wonderful thing about Lightning channels is that there is a trust. It's a trustless mechanism. The caveat to that is that your node has to be online all the time, making sure that you're not. It's basically there running, making sure that you're not being cheated. But as long as your node is online, there's no trust involved.
Okay.
Now, too, opening a channel yourself, is that better? Well, then you're only having liquidity amongst yourself. Like, that's not really helpful. The idea is you want to be connected to the rest of the Lightning Network so that you can send and receive from other people. Now, having said it, so like you do need channels with other people's nodes. That's how you get funds from point A to point B. That's how you do that. Having said that, there would be reasons you might open channels between your nodes. Maybe you could speak to that a little, Nitesh, about like why you might open a channel between 2 of your nodes.
Well, there are a few reasons. For example, let's say you're running 2 routing nodes. You could always have a persistent channel between your own nodes if you want to move liquidity back and forth between this node and that node. But for just receiving payments and sending payments like a simple node, I'm not sure there is any specific use case like opening a large channel between your 2 nodes because unless those 2 nodes are connected to other peers, like other peers on the network, you're technically not receiving funds or actually being able to pay somebody else other than paying between your 2 nodes.
Right.
Right.
Let me ask you another question. So, but there's an incentive to run a node by earning sats, right?
Right.
Okay. Because there's like a subscription for it's like a monthly fee, right?
Yeah.
So am I able to generate sat income by opening a channel?
If you manage your node, like I would say your first channel is probably it's going to be a smaller channel, and like this like small channel we give you is probably more suited for like someone who wants to just, I don't know, set up a web store and start selling some stuff, like, because it's a smaller channel. It's just something to get you started. But having said that, yes, you can use your voltage node to open channels with other people and start earning routing income. That's an in-depth, more advanced process, though. So I would approach it first with like, I just want to learn about Lightning and like run a node and learn how to do it. And then if you find it, interesting and exciting, and you want to learn more, then you can start practicing with this stuff, and then eventually get to the point where like you're earning routing fees and stuff. But like the people who earn routing fees, like they put a lot of like time and thought into how they manage their nodes. But me, I'm a casual node operator. I just like I have a website where I sell some stickers, and I have a node that lets me, accept Bitcoin as a payment, and I like that, and that's good enough for me. So kind of everyone's gonna have a different reason for running a node. But yeah, you could.
One more quick question.
Yeah.
So is the ability to generate, like, I'm gonna call it a return, is it based on the number of, from economic standpoint, is it based on the number of nodes or the amount of liquidity you provide? So do you make more money by on a high level opening more nodes, or by putting more Bitcoin? Which one makes more money?
I would say probably more. It's not like a there's not a straightforward answer, because the thing is, I'm hoping in like about 3 weeks we can have like another session just on channel management and liquidity, because but I would say I'm going to see if I can get a speaker in who can really talk about it well. I think me and Nitesh have someone in mind for that. But let me put it this way: it's about getting the right amount of liquidity in the right places. And so some people might do that just by having more Bitcoin, and some people might do it by having a network of routing nodes. It's very strategic, yeah. And it's the methods people are using are constantly changing. But it's like at the end of the day, it's just ultimately about getting liquidity in the right places.
Yeah. Steven, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So Voltage does not give you SSH access.
Correct.
Right. Okay. So most customers businesses that need Lightning, or do people actually run routing nodes on Voltage? Just curious.
Actually, I mean, that I don't know in terms of like if is somebody running a large routing node or not.
Right.
It wouldn't surprise me. I think if I had to guess, I would say a lot of our customers are like businesses that want to run, like just want to accept Bitcoin as payment. But I'm actually not sure about that.
Okay.
Yeah. One just like final point, like you notice this has moved on. We now have gotten a second block since this got confirmed. But if we go back to ThunderHub, we'll notice that it's still in the pending tab. Why is that? Does anybody know?
Well, it depends. Well, it depends on the default confirmations that your node needs for a channel open is 3, I guess. But it can be changed. However, I think it defaults to 3.
I thought it was 6.
Oh, the default is 6.
I think it's 6. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I might be wrong on that, but yeah, that's basically what I was looking for. There is a default, like it's like considered to be your channel needs to be this many blocks deep to be considered online. So yeah, this is still going to be pending for a little bit, but that's okay. We can just wait for it.
I think I remember it being 3 as well.
Okay, then maybe we might not have too much farther to go. And then I think ultimately what I really want to do is I want to be able to send a Lightning payment from this. So that's what I'm kind of hoping for. But yeah, let's look. Maybe we could explore.
You have to wait for that confirmation, right?
Yeah, exactly. So by the end of this process, we'll be able to send the channel. So like rebalancing, that's very technical. We can cover that another time. But this is a tool people can use to rebalance their channels.
And Doe explained last time in the last meetup. Doe explained a little bit about rebalancing.
Okay.
Nice.
We did
I think I want to go ahead and point out this page right here. So this is the Amboss integration with ThunderHub, and there's a way that you can back up your static channel backups to Amboss. So with this website right here, you can actually create an account and you can log in. And like, remember what I was saying is like, you do want to have your seed phrase. I would recommend you always create a backup of that. So again, that's here. You show the seed privately, write it down, all that. But then you're also going to want your static channel backups. And what that means is like, right now we only have 1 channel. But what happens when we get like 3 channels or 4 channels or something, and we've got more Bitcoin in these channels. And if we need to restore our node, we need to have a way to know which channels belong to our node. That's called the static channel backup. And it's basically a file that just lists out like, hey, you have this channel with this node. It's just enough information so that if you need to restore the node, you can come back online and you can ask your channel partner to force close. So, and then everybody just gets their Bitcoin back. So you can back this up manually, but also one thing you can do is you can log into Amboss from here, and then you can enable it to automatically, like every time your channel configuration changes, it'll send a backup to Amboss. And Amboss, again, they can't take your funds. All it is just like a map of which channels belong to you, but Amboss doesn't actually have any of your like private key data or anything like that. So I just recommend it, especially if you're a beginner. It's just an easy way to kind of like, make sure that you're kind of covered in that regard, that you have that. That way, if you forget to, you're going to forget to download the static channel backup every single time you make a new channel. So just push it to Amboss and save yourself a little bit of hassle and all of that.
Okay, again, a huge disclaimer on static channel backups. A lot of people who are new think static channel backups, like if you back up and then let's say your node goes down, and then let's say you bought a new computer and then you spun up your node. If you use your backup, all your channels will come back online. Everything will be back to normal. That's not the purpose of static channel backups. They're only used to get your Bitcoin back to your on-chain wallet. So what they do is when you use them, it basically pings all your peers saying, hey, my node died. Please close on me so that I can get all my Bitcoin back. So all your channels are closed and your funds will come back to your wallet. But you will not go back to the state that you were before with, like, let's say you had 50 channels, all your channels will be closed and your funds will return to you, but your node will not be operational like the way it was before.
So if you want to get all those nodes again, you have to
reopen channels again. So yeah, please keep that in mind. SCBs are only meant for getting your funds back.
How did you get to the mempool from that?
Well, I was here on the dashboard of the home of the node, and it prompted me to ask if I wanted to have a channel, and I said open a channel. And then, what it did was it said, okay, your channel is still opening. Click here to watch the process.
Okay.
So I clicked there, and then it opens up my transaction.
That was after your channel was open, right?
After they,
Okay,
yeah.
so mine hasn't fully opened, right?
Well, no,
No.
it should appear while the opening is in progress. So now it's 3 blocks deep, and I think Jordan and Nitesh, you were right, because now it says your voltage channel is open. Your node is ready to receive sats.
So that's it. That's the Bitcoin.
Yeah. I'm gonna
You
go back to your voltage thing real quick.
Yeah.
You can even go to ThunderHub and look at it. It should show in the pending state or in the open state if you go to channels.
Yeah, he just wanted to see something on the voltage.
Okay, cool.
What are you saying? It's supposed to show on the mempool that you actually, it's the network that you've created. It shows that you've created a channel.
Yeah. So what happens is, like I said, every Lightning channel begins with an on-chain transaction.
Okay.
So in order to open the channel with you, Voltage is going to create a Bitcoin transaction, broadcast it to the network, and it's going to enter the mempool while it's waiting to enter a block. And so you can watch it. They should provide you with a link to it, and you can watch your transaction. It'll start here, and then eventually it'll get into a block, and it'll drift farther and farther to the right.
So at some point, you'll see a prompt on the voltage screen that says we can
Yeah.
the transaction.
Yeah, I mean, it should be. Oh, I tell you what. I think Jordan tried it earlier, and it
Yeah,
said.
mine is still.
I think me and Ida might have gotten the last little bit of liquidity,
Okay.
but yeah.
So
So,
mine says that your channel's still opening.
Yeah, this you're getting.
Yeah, so I just-
oh, okay, your channel's opening. Yeah, you're good.
Yeah. No, I
But
want to
it's
see
been
the
like that
mempool.
forever.
Oh, okay. Sorry, that's weird. It's not giving you the link. Well, one thing you could do is if you go to ThunderHub, I think if you go to your channels and then find it there, it should. Let's see.
Well, it doesn't say pending.
You don't have a transaction yet because it seems like it is not opening yet. I think we're gonna probably will hit the error that Jordan get.
Where does I'm trying to think in ThunderHub? Where does it tell you the TX?
Or should I don't see the way to cancel this.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Can I do like stop here?
that's just gonna disconnect you from the node. No, that channel's gonna open. I mean, it's you're good. You don't have to worry about anything. That channel's in the mempool now. So I mean, there's not really a way to cancel it now. It's just gonna get included in a block. So it might be a little bit slow, but you're good to go. I was gonna say if you go to, I wish it would.
Can you click on channel ID?
Yeah.
Oh.
So this could take you.
No, it's not. It's not detected yet. So
Since he could, I could do that. So I'm just locked up in there.
Yeah. So I wouldn't worry too much about the mempool thing. If you missed the link, then just don't worry about it. But eventually it'll open. You'll be good, and you can monitor it in ThunderHub as well. Okay. So should we receive something now? Let's receive something just so we can kind of finish this ThunderHub portion here. So I'm here, ThunderHub.
receive button in the middle.
Yeah.
Try closing the tab, open it again, go back.
All right, so guys, just to show you real quick, I went to the node. I went to ThunderHub on the homepage. I clicked the receive button, the Lightning receive button, and then it showed me the amount to receive. And I'm going to say testing during Cloud LN demo, and expiration. I'll say 120 seconds. And I'll just say. And then I'm going to create a Lightning invoice, and there we go. Oh, you're going to pay it? Thanks, man. Vault 11 QR codes, man. Can't win. All right, so Natasha's going to pay my invoice. Grant was pointing out.
There's no route found. Oh, maybe because the channel is so new, it's not. Does it open a public channel?
It is, yeah, but it might just be so new.
Yeah, it is. It's so new, no gossip yet.
Yeah, I want to go ahead and point something out. Actually, let's look at Grant's comment in a little bit there. All right, let me see what happens. Oh, shit. I wish somebody had told me the music was on this whole time. Fuck's sake.
Will there be a recording?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're just not going to hear anything because there's just going to be like all this like smooth jazz in the background. Hey, Grant said he could hear us, so I mean, I'm assuming. I guess Grant just likes smooth jazz.
Or he's trolling me.
No, Brian was just messaged me. He said, "Kill the music." Hey, I guess we just have a smooth jazz lightning node demo, whatever.
Exactly.
All right, so let me try paying it.
Yeah.
Wait, my invoice. Check the status invoice in the transaction thing.
Oh, maybe it expired.
It might have just expired. That's cool. We'll yeah.
You are not.
Oh, it disappeared in.
Yeah, I just refreshed. Yes, it was holding me up, and then I refreshed the tab. It says our node is out of funds. Please try again later.
Right.
But I got that message, and then I tried again in like 5 minutes before.
Oh man.
No route.
Yeah, couldn't find it.
Yeah, no, probably like gossip.
It-
Because the channel just opened.
Yeah.
I got that. So it says your channel is pending. You watch the process here. So I click on that. That takes me a minute. I'm just refresh twice. You will refresh once.
But anyways, one thing we should look at in the meantime is I wanted to point this out. So Grant said, just was looking at the peers tab at ThunderHub. These are the peers we get from Gossip since we opened a channel with Voltage. So what's happening here, now that I'm in the peer management section, I can see that I have a peer, Voltage C1, I have a channel with that, but then also these other peers on the network are like gossiping with our node as well. So, and the peers thing, it can be a really, complex topic in Lightning. So maybe, I don't know, probably shouldn't go too deep down into peer management unless anyone has a particular point they're confused on. I would just don't worry about it until you get to be a more advanced Lightning node operator. All right. Yeah, so we just got to wait a little bit maybe for this transaction to open. I mean, these are kind of some of the things you run into with Lightning is that like getting these channels open for the first time can sometimes be like a slow process. But then once it's open and once it's live, it's good to go. So cool. I think what I might do honestly is just we have the ThunderHub thing open, so we can actually start receiving. We can just receive a Lightning payment later. I'm just going to wait for more gossip to happen and all of that. But like Nitesh, did you want to like show off some of the more like how to do this from the more advanced way of doing this?
Yeah, sure.
Cool. Okay, cool. We're going to shift gears here.
Okay.
Do you want to sit here?
Yeah, I can switch.
Yeah, can you switch with me?
Yeah.
Hang on, internet. We're re-Tetrising the room.
Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna show you guys the advanced way of setting up your own node. This involves command line, almost all of it. So you don't have to follow along if you don't want to. But I'll just, basically the point of it is sort of to explain what probably happens under the hood of voltage. Now, I obviously don't know what exactly happens at voltage, but this is probably what happens. In So what I did was I can put the where do I put this link? Telegram.
Yeah, you can put that on Telegram. That would work.
Okay. Okay. So I wrote this document yesterday on how to set up your own cloud node from scratch. So it involves obviously a computer somewhere. This would work if you want to set up your own node at home or you want to set up in the cloud. So for now, I'll show it in the cloud. I'm using a cloud service provider called DigitalOcean. You could use anybody. You could use Google Cloud. You could use AWS or Microsoft Azure or whatever you want. But I'm just going to show you in DigitalOcean. So first, you go to cloud.digitalocean.com. Then it should give you a sign up page. You can sign up, and they have something called droplets. Once you come to this page, on the on the manage section, they should have something called droplets. So what droplets are essentially virtual machines or computers running on DigitalOcean servers, which is exactly what Steven showed with Voltage, right? When you spin up a node with Voltage, Voltage has a data center somewhere where when you spin up a new node on Voltage, you're basically using Voltage's computer to start running a node. So instead of Voltage, I'm using DigitalOcean. That's simply the difference. You can see I already have 2 droplets running, so I have 2 virtual machines that are doing 2 different things. This self-host thing, like I said, this is one of my nodes that I run to receive lightning pips and things like that, and my personal Zap server and all that stuff. So I'll go and create a droplet, and you can pick a region. This is where it'll be hosted. I'm gonna just hit New York. You can leave the defaults like Ubuntu, basic, probably lower the cost. I'll delete this later anyway, but it'll ask you to select what you want. The higher the price, the more powerful the computer you get, essentially. You can see the specs over here. It says this is a 2 GB RAM with 2 CPU. This is 4 GB RAM with 2 CPU. It goes up. You can go.
So the cheapest one is something that you shouldn't.
Well,
because it's gonna be too slow?
It'll be too slow. At least not. I guess starting from the $14 one should be okay. I think this is what I use for that. My personal that tip receiving stuff and things like that. And my personal self-hosted stuff. But I'll just use this. It'll be faster.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, what's the minimum specs you need for a basic node? You're just gonna be receiving small amounts here and there.
Okay, so if your node is backed by a full Bitcoin node, you have a full archival or a proven Bitcoin core that is running and a Lightning node, you probably should go for at least the 2 GB and 2 CPUs. But if you're running a neutrino, a lightweight node, which Steven showed in his demo, you can probably get away with this one, or even this one maybe. This one might get slow, but I think you can get away with this one.
And over 1 terabyte is enough?
Well, okay, so one thing you have to keep in mind is cloud storage is expensive. So if you're running a node in the cloud, you might want to run a prune node. What a prune node is, it's exactly like a full node, but the difference is in a full node, all the blocks that you download, whenever you're verifying the whole blockchain, all the blocks that you download will be stored on the computer, on disk. So you need that 500 gigs or 600 gigs of storage. What a prune node is when it downloads blocks, it keeps deleting blocks as it downloads. It's still verifying all the transactions, but it's deleting as it goes, and only keeps a small set of blocks on the computer. So when you're running in the cloud, you don't want to like, unless you absolutely need it. You don't want to like spend a lot of money, especially if you're setting it up yourself. You don't want to spend a lot of money, for all that storage because it's not required. Because the prune node is pretty good because one of my public routing nodes runs on a prune node, even though it has quite some amount of Bitcoin on it. I still run it on the prune node because prune node is almost as good as a full node. Really, the only difference is all the blocks are either stored on disk or they're just deleted. So, okay, for demo purposes, I'll pick this one so that'll be faster. It'll ask me to generate a password. I'll just use this. Doesn't matter. I'm going to delete this. So,
So this site that we're using, is it just a lot of people use it for practicing, or like for that monthly cost? Does it make sense for bigger players to?
Yes. For example, my personal routing node, which I run on AWS, I pay around this, probably a little more than this one, about $60 a month. But because there is some significant amount of capital deployed to it, and I do make about somewhere between $200 $300 a month in routing fees, so I offset that cost. And it's also reliable because it's in the cloud. But it really depends on your use case. If you're just somebody who wants to send and receive payments, you're probably better off like spinning up something at your own house because it's cheaper. Or you could just go the little voltage route of the light node, or spinning up your own light node in like a low cost environment.
Question from online: Grant asks, does DigitalOcean have free tier droplets that would meet the minimum requirements?
No, they do not.
Okay. So you might be better off on AWS free tier or something like that for that kind of use case, Grant.
Yeah, AWS free tier. Well, it does not turn out to be free tier after some time. You will incur some costs end of the month, but it's probably like $5 or something.
I'd say, like, in Grant, to provide a little more context, the way they break down DigitalOcean versus Amazon is like, I think I've experienced the Amazon prices like cheaper if you kind of know how to think about the compute cost per hour. But like DigitalOcean is very like flat rate about everything. They want the pricing to be so you end up, I think, paying a little bit more with DigitalOcean, but your pricing is way more predictable on DigitalOcean because they just kind of give you this nice flat rate pricing.
Yep.
And the basic AWS is gonna be similar to the 14 a month here. Like,
The basic AWS will probably be around $7 to $10.
No, but I'm not talking about dollars. I'm talking about the machines.
Oh, the machine. Oh, it's probably going to be the same. Something like this.
It's not gonna be like the worst.
Yeah, it's the free tier is probably this one on AWS. I have to check. I don't remember. It's been a long time I've been on this free tier. All right. So I'll just pick this one. I scroll down. I set some password. I'll rename this to demo self-host.
Question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
So if you don't mind answering this question. So the services you're providing to make this couple $100 a month is what?
Is what the facilitating payments for anybody to use my node, like they can route through my node.
So you find like a business that needs a node
that needs so
or they need the channels or liquidity.
Yeah, either I do mix of things. Like for example, if a business needs liquidity, I do open channels to them, and for cost, that's one way to make money. Or even when they route through my node, like to send or receive payments, my node charges a routing fee, a small amount of routing fee. I guess it's 0.085% to be accurate per transaction. So
Who set that price? You?
I set that price. Yeah, you can lower it or higher it.
So there's
Go on.
There's some free market stuff.
Yeah, it's a free market stuff. Yeah, you can pick your price. So every time a payment goes through my node, I charge that fee. So that also comes as income. Anyway, I just put some name over here, and then I'm going to click create droplet. Sweet. It's probably going to take a few seconds to create it. Okay, the droplet is up and running. So one of the things, if you're running in the cloud, one of the things that you care about probably is reliability, which means instead of Tor, you probably want to prefer ClearNet. So most cloud service providers will give you something called a static IP address. Over here, it's called reserved IP. On Amazon calls it something else, but essentially it's a static IP address that never changes, and it's assigned to your machine. So, for example, if I go to my other droplets over here, let's take this one. This one has a reserved IP of this one, right? So this is a static IP that never changes. So you can go to this one, click enable now, so that it'll say assign reserved IP, and it'll give you an IP address, so that this IP address never changes. If you don't set a static IP, every time you restart your virtual machine, probably the IP will end up changing. So, so we now have a reserved IP address. So we can copy this. Now we have to SSH into it. Okay, now this is the command line part. So this is the command, just root at the IP address that I copied from there, and then it's going to ask you hit yes. It's going to ask you a password. This is the password. And now you're inside that machine that you spun up. So it's the same thing. Ubuntu, self-host, self-demo, self-host Bitcoin. That's the same thing over here. So you're now inside that machine. All right, let's go to my document. So there are a few things in my document. I basically, this is the only way to refresh this, I guess. Okay, this is the new one. All right. So I wrote some prerequisites, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so there are two different, I broke this down into two separate setups. Like one's called a quick setup. Like I said, absolutely not recommended. And then there's a manual setup, which is a recommended way. What this whole document has a whole bunch of instructions that you're supposed to be following in order to spin up a node, right? And the quick setup, what it does is it basically compresses all of that, and I put all those commands in.
I think it was above. Wait.
Yes.
Above manual setup, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I compressed all of that into this little bash file that automatically runs all those commands for you, right? But again, the reason that I said this is absolutely not recommended is because bash files can be pretty dangerous in the sense of what you write inside of it. So if you don't know what you're executing, and I write garbage in it, you could get fucked. So
if we think you're shady, we shouldn't.
Well, you could, yeah, probably.
And we're Bitcoiners, so don't cross verify.
Yeah. So, but for now, we'll just use the quick setup because it just does it quickly. And I wrote it, so I'm setting it up. So I probably
got it. So in principle, there's nothing wrong with having a bash file.
Right.
It's just that you want to know what's in it. So,
yes.
So
before running the bash file, I'll quickly just briefly go over this document of what it does. So the stuff that it does is first you install something called Docker. What Docker is it spins up little computers inside your computer, and you can run Bitcoin Core or LND or your Lightning node inside of it. And the nice thing about Docker is it's easier to spin it up and also clean it. Now, one of the problems that you have in computers is the classic case of, let's say me and Ida are trying to install something on the computer, and it works on mine, but Ida says, oh, it doesn't work on mine. Docker kind of solves this problem because it always spins up the same computer that does a specific task on every single computer you install. So that's the nice thing of Docker, and it's also very easy to clean up Docker. There's another problem, right? When you install some software on your computer, it's sometimes really annoying to uninstall it. You don't want it at some point, it's really annoying to uninstall some software. Docker is also very good for cleaning up because all you have to do is just destroy that container that you spun up, and then whatever software you install is gone. So that's that. There's some firewall setup, to not open your machine to some threats. There is some network flood protection, what this basically means is somebody tries to spam your computer with random crap. It rejects and only accepts certain incoming packets of data per second. That's what this does. And then we start setting up Bitcoin Core. This is a Bitcoin Core config file. This is what Voltage does in the background for you. They manage all of this stuff so that you don't have to read through all of this document. You don't have to worry about what you have to set for each of these values. But essentially, this is what Voltage does in the background. That's why you just click a few buttons and then you have a node up and running. This is a Bitcoin config file. Similarly, it will set up an LND node. This is an LND config file. This is also something Voltage manages for you. Go ahead, Aida.
So, but that means that the Bitcoin blockchain is going to be, you have to go through the Bitcoin blockchain and put it on the cloud?
No, you start syncing. I mean, it's similar to how you do it on your Umbro. On Umbro, once you set up Umbro, it starts downloading blockchains and starts verifying transactions, right? That's exactly what happens here too. It starts downloading the blockchain. It probably takes the same amount of time, 2 days or 3 days or whatever, to sync the whole blockchain, and then your node will be up and running.
But the blockchain is going to be on the cloud.
On the cloud,
so
yes.
That storage needs to be accounted for when you are choosing.
Exactly, yes. So over here, when I spun up on DigitalOcean, I only spun up 50 GB or something. But the blockchain side, I don't remember where to see that now. Volumes, I guess.
Volumes is block storage.
Yeah, whatever. I think I spun up 50 gigs or something. It's probably good enough for a prune node. But if you want a full node, you need close to a terabyte for long-term use cases, right? And which gets really expensive on the cloud. So prune node is just fine. And again, this spins up LND. This is the whole LND config file. Then it'll ask you to create a wallet password, which is the password. Remember the second password that you entered on Voltage that unlocks your node? That's probably this, that you create a password and you save it. And then you start Bitcoin Core and LND. Then it installs a couple of apps if you want to. That's totally optional. But all right, let's go back to the top. And now let's run this thing and see if it works because I haven't tested it.
So you're going to do the not recommended way?
Yes. So first of all, git clone is I'm cloning this whole thing to my computer. That's what it does. If you go to GitHub, you'll see this little button over here that says code. It should say local, and under HTTPS, you'll see this little copy button. You copy that, and then you type git clone space that URL. It'll download that thing to my local machine. So if I go into that directory now, and then hit ls, you should see the same files like license, readme, blah, 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 Bitcoin conf, init.lnd.conf. That's the same files you'll see here. So you now downloaded this repository onto that cloud computer. Now, we're going to run my script. And then hit enter. It's going to ask you a few questions like yes or no. You should probably hit yes because that's why only then it'll work. And then it's essentially following all these steps one by one. Instead of you copying and pasting them, it just does it on its own. It's installing Docker now. Hit OK. Okay, so Docker installed. Now it's asking a question. You want to enter a password for your LND wallet? You want to choose your own password, or it will generate one for you? You can just hit enter. It will generate one. This is the wallet password. Let's copy and save this. Okay, and then it'll also generate RPC credentials for your LND node to talk to your Bitcoin Core node, which is this. Copy this, and then this is the password you're supposed to be putting in your LND conf file. You copy that, and then because you'll need that to edit all those files. Now the setup is complete, but now you have to go make some changes to those config files.
And that is the wallet where your funds are gonna go.
Right. .lnd, lnd.conf, and you have to go down. The first setup is this external IP. This will be your ClearNet IP address that DigitalOcean gave you, which is this one, this result IP. And then you paste that. There should be one more above. Yeah, over here. You paste it here too. I'm not setting up Tor at all because Tor sucks. I don't like it. I need to comment. So sorry, I missed this in the script. And
But you're not using Tor because you're using ClearNet, right?
yeah, and then the RPC pass is with something we generated over here. That script gave you, and then we paste that, and I think that's it. It should work. Okay. And now we have to edit the bitcoin.conf file. The one thing to add in this is RPC auth.
Hitesh, a question.
Sure.
What's the difference between wallet password and then down here it says your password? Is one for the full node?
Sorry, I didn't quite. Let me just copy this 1 second. Okay, can you press that again?
Yeah, so there are two passwords that are generated. One is the LND wallet password, and then the other password is at the Bitcoin wallet.
RPC password. Okay, so the wallet password decrypts your LND wallet. The RPC password is for LND to talk to Bitcoin Core. So that's the RPC authentication between your Lightning node and the Bitcoin Core node.
Is this one-time authentication that you are doing?
Yes. Okay, now the setup is complete. Now let's see if it works. So we do Docker compose up D. And then it's going to start downloading all those Bitcoin Core and LND files. What? Oh shit, I forgot to create the Docker network, I guess. Oh, wait. Okay. Docker network, sorry.
Bare metal.
What do you call the Bitcoin RPC auth equals Bitcoin RPC colon characters? What is that?
Oh, that's the hashed password. So the same password, we gave you two things, right?
Right.
So the Bitcoin RPC colon that is the hashed password of the thing. So when LND talks to Bitcoin Core, you pass the real password and it checks against the hash.
Do you know what hashing algorithm?
Probably SHA-256. Okay, so now I think Bitcoin Core is up and running. Let's see. So Docker logs Bitcoin Core dash follow. What? It broke. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just unavoidable.
Yeah. Anyway, so LND is waiting for us to create a wallet. Oh, that's why. I know why it broke. Sorry.
Can you say why?
Yeah, let me open and I'll show you. Oh, yeah. Bitcoins. I said transaction index equal to 1 along with prune. It won't work. Yeah. Okay. Now it works. Okay. Oops.
Is this a prune node?
Yeah, this is a prune node. So Docker compose down. Let's try again. Hopefully it works. Yes, it starts working. So it's now started syncing to the blockchain. It'll take us a couple of days or whatever. But meanwhile, you can also see LND. It's asking to create a new wallet. It says use LNCLI create to create a wallet. We do that. Okay. Docker exec. Okay, it's asking to input a wallet password. Remember, we generated a password a little while ago. This one, I think. Is it this one or this one? Shit, this one. This one, I
I think
guess.
it's that.
You input that, you hit int again, and then it'll ask you if you want to generate a new seed phrase or you already have a seed phrase. Yeah.
Recommended is yes.
If you already have one, you can use it,
Uh-huh.
but otherwise it'll create one for you. Then you hit enter, it's generated in the seed phrase. Don't worry, I'm not going to put any Bitcoin on it, but this is your seed phrase. Again, if you connect this to the voltage thing, remember voltage showed you a little button that says click here, it will show you a seed phrase. This is exactly that. It's going to give you a seed phrase. And now LND is up and running. If you check the logs, it's just saying we are running, it's waiting for chain backend to finish. So your Lightning node will not be up and running until Bitcoin Core is fully synced, which is probably a couple of days away. So
if you do prune, how long does it take?
it's the same. It'll take the same time.
The same time.
The only thing difference is prune node will delete blocks as it dumps.
Oh, that's true. But
That's
the
it.
ending has to
Everything
Yeah.
else is the same.
Validates everything, make sure it's all legitimate
Basically
blocks.
just did by hand
Yes.
what Voltage
Did.
did behind
Right.
the last 3 buttons.
Yes. This is.
It was a joke the other day about how many people didn't know what that terminal thing is until they heard that the Bitcoin white paper was like in that. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
I
that.
have a map. I had an office full of them. I don't even know what that is. That terminal thing.
Yeah.
It took me like 20 minutes to find it on the computer so I could paste
Yeah.
the thing in there to make the white paper.
But that's the magic of Bitcoin, right? It makes you learn all.
But you
Yeah.
also realize how much you don't even know.
Exactly.
What else is on my computer?
That's so interesting. Yeah, you didn't know is there like yeah, because like to those of us who like work in tech and like do like web development and stuff, it's like that's like our preferred way of doing things. Is like
What is it? Was it something like just rogue worker that snuck it in there?
I don't think we know yet. Then there's all the conspiracy theory that Steve Jobs was Satoshi now.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's silly, but it's funny to think about.
Yeah, and after that, you can start running commands on your node. If you do LNCLI list channels, it will give you all the channels that you have. This is how ThunderHub shows you in that little pretty view of how channels look like, but in command line, it looks like this.
I have a question.
Sure.
I ran the init.sh,
And
is it supposed to create a .bitcoin
yeah,
directory?
it'll create one, yes.
So if it's not there, did the script fail somehow?
It didn't create for you? Did you use sudo? Maybe. Oh, you spun up something in DigitalOcean, right?
Yeah.
It should give you root access. That's weird. Because
I had a root.
that's weird. It created for me. That's why. I'm pretty sure it did. It's on the home directory.
Yeah.
It's not there for you? That's strange. Well, worked for me.
Worked on my machine.
Oh, yeah, it worked.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah, that's about it. This is how you spin up your own node on the cloud.
Awesome. Yeah, and so then you could do that. So like similar to like what I was doing with Voltage, where I was like clicking a visual button saying open a channel. Nitesh could do the same thing from his terminal if he wanted to, using like the LNCLI commands. He could do the exact same thing. He could say, give me an on-chain address so I can receive Bitcoin to this. He could say, I want to open a channel with the node that Steven just made, and he could just do all that from the command line. So everything that we could have done on Voltage, we can do here just through the command line. Oops.
And all those passwords that you put in the authentication
Might be yours.
config and all of that, you can
Sorry.
change it at any time, right?
Yes, you can generate new passwords. You could also install, I put another file that installs some apps for you. Like, I didn't add ThunderHub, I just didn't have time for adding all that. But for now, I added LND Boss and Balance of Satoshis. So those two should probably work. You just have to Docker compose, use that specific file, and then up it, and then we'll download those and we'll start running. Yep. And then past years probably should work. What? Oh. Huh. One second.
Oh, nice. You had a set of balance of Satoshis in this Docker.
Yeah.
So nice. And I do want to show whenever whenever you're ready, just want to show off the transaction.
Okay. Yeah. One second.
Yeah, no. You take your time, man. Whenever you're done playing around on the DigitalOcean droplet, I just want to
I'm almost
close things off with it.
Cool. All right. The node is still not up and running, so that's why it's probably not working. But anyway, all right. I'm done, guys.
Dude, thanks so much for showing that off.
Sure.
Yes, thank you.
So I'm going to add mine to the stream here. I have another window open, and I'm going to switch over to real quick. So like,
should I just unplug this or something, or that's not necessary?
Oh yeah, I guess that's right. I guess if they want to see it.
You have to switch places.
Do you want to switch places?
I'm just gonna do it like right here.
Okay.
I'm gonna make it work. People online can see the screen, I think, and then I've got to wait for everything to rejigger. Okay. Yeah. So here, let me hide that for a little bit. So we noticed when I opened that transaction, I was monitoring it on my screen while Nitesh was working in DigitalOcean, and we had this kind of problem where they opened the channel and we would go to the channel page on Amboss and nothing would show up on the page. And Nitesh and I were like, well, why is that? And so we came to the idea that, okay, it hasn't been propagating, like the nodes are not gossiping it because it's such a new channel. And on the mempool here, once the channel, I was watching it, once it got 6 blocks deep, that changed. So I think 6 is the magic, is the number for where Lightning nodes won't like share the channel or gossip about it, I don't think, unless it's 6 blocks deep. I might be wrong on that, but so yeah, we're 6 blocks deep. We're way more than 6 blocks deep now. And so now, like from my ThunderHub dashboard, if I go to my channel screen, it'll say, hey, here's your channel ID. And I click it and it'll open it up on Amboss. And like here, let me try and get it so we can see all this. I think because I'm connected to a projector, Amboss is like kind of, oh, I see what it is. The window, there we go. So now we can see that because it's on Amboss, we know that other Lightning nodes are gossiping about my channel and broadcasting its existence. So it should work if we do a Lightning receive now. So if I go back to ThunderHub and I say home and I say receive, and then I say 1000 sats and go in at live, and then I'll say it's a 10-minute long invoice, and then we'll create the invoice and
yeah, it worked.
Hey, so successful workshop. So we set up a node, we got our first channel set up, we received a Lightning payment successfully. We talked about how to back up the node. We talked about how to do all of this on your own on DigitalOcean if you want to understand it a little more, deeply under the hood. I know, like, for some of you who are just learning here, the Voltage might be a better option. For someone like Jordan, he's obviously there doing DigitalOcean because he's much more comfortable with cloud stuff. So it kind of depends on how, you want to do it. But you got different ways that you can approach doing the same thing depending on, what your needs are.
And if not, next Saturday we have the other workshop for do yourself.
Yeah.
You have your own.
Yeah, so I guess I don't need to show.
I have a question. Can you show the transaction that you just did?
Yeah, let's take a look at it.
So they can see it. We can see in the channels.
There we go. So I had to refresh the page here. But, oh wait, did 2 people pay the invoice? I think 2 people paid the invoice.
No, those are maybe they're open invoices. I don't know.
Is that the old one that didn't? Well, it should be coming.
This is a dumb question. What's the purpose of the API endpoint versus the node? Like, why do you need the API endpoint?
I think what you're talking about is connecting to the node from like an external source. right? Or like, are you looking at it?
I'm on voltage. I'm looking at. I have a API endpoint in Node ID on my dashboard.
Yeah. So the thing with the API endpoint is that like the Node ID. Oh, I see what you're talking about. You're talking about this stuff right here.
Yeah. So the Node ID?
Honestly, I don't know what that is. I think that this thing right here looks to me like some kind of internal voltage thing that looks like a UUID or something. So I don't really, that might be some kind of internal voltage thing. To be honest, I don't know what that is. On the Lightning Network, like, and if we think about things in like a Lightning native way of looking at things, let me go back and find my my AMBOSS screen.
But the Node ID is not something that you can also use to open channels?
Yeah, so like, yeah, a real Node ID is usually something like this. It's like the public key of the node. So when we talk about like Lightning Network, your Node ID would be something like this right here, like the public key. So if I like, see, that's like a real like Lightning Node ID. But in terms of, back over there, in terms of this right here, I think that's just some internal voltage thing. But in terms of the API endpoint, so like there's different ways you can use your node. So like right now I'm like logged into Voltage, I'm using ThunderHub, but I could also take like an application like Zeus, and I could run like Zeus Wallet on my phone and then connect Zeus to my Lightning node so that I can control this node from my phone. And so in that case, it would use the API endpoint usually to do it. Like there's many ways you can remotely connect to a Lightning node, but one of them is the API endpoint.
Okay.
Long-winded answer to your question. Did that help or?
Yeah. So like when that's kind of how like Cash App and Stripe are building out their app. They use that like plug that somehow like their SDK.
Well, Cash App and Strike are different. I mean, like, you know, they both use Lightning, obviously, and I think that they have, you know, slightly specific goals. Like Strike is just about kind of like, okay, we want to be able to, you know, send cross-border remittances anywhere, right? And so they kind of hide a lot of the Lightning stuff. So they run their own Lightning nodes, but a lot of times, like the users of Strike, they just feel like they're trading dollars, right? Because it's like a way of like, okay, any Strike user can send any other Strike users dollars. It all goes over Lightning, but that happens under the hood. So yeah, like Strike runs their own Lightning nodes, but they kind of hide a lot of that from the user. And then same with Cash App, like they let you obviously buy and sell Bitcoin. And
Yes. How does that work with like Stripe remittances? Send like you send $1 over like network and they get it in rupees, right? So is that?
yeah. So like, I mean, the thing about it is that, you know, Strike, I mean, the way that they handle all of this internally is proprietary. And so I, you know, don't know exactly how they handle it. But conceptually, you know, you could have a Lightning, you know, all it has to be for the user is just like a, you know, a number on a balance sheet. Like all you have to do is have an app and say like, you have $10 now, and they can handle all of the stabilization behind the scenes. Like what I mean by that is like, let's say you're a Strike user and I've got a Bitcoin wallet. I send you say, I want to receive $5. So I say, okay, I'm sending you $5 worth of Bitcoin, and Strike receives it on their Lightning node. And they say, okay, you now have $5. On their end, they can manage their collateral and they can have so much Bitcoin that they can like kind of like hedge against that in some way. So they can have like more Bitcoin than they need to cover the like cash accounts of all the users as the balance fluctuates. But it's a straight up custodial service. Yeah.
How is it just like that simple use case from US dollars, sending a wallet from US dollars to someone in rupee? So do they have like, I think that's like a currency exchange, or is it just like they leverage the bank system?
I have no idea. No idea, man. I mean, there's just, it's a deep topic. There's a lot of different ways you can approach that. Yeah, I don't know. It just depends. Like Liberty Pays works on some similar kind of stuff in terms of cross-border remittances. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure.
Question for you about 1,000 sats.
Yeah.
Where are the 1,000 sats? Did you send them through that channel to your wallet, or are they actually in the wallet in that?
Yeah, let's take a look at that. So when we started this channel here, it had a capacity, well, it has a capacity 500,000 sats, because that's what Voltage sent me, right? That's the channel that they opened with me. But what's happened now is the channel balance has shifted. So it started out with like 500K on their side, but now it's like slightly less than that. It's going to be like, I guess, like what, 400. I'm not in a math mood right now, but it's like 1,000 sats is now on my side of the channel. Be like what, 490 or something like that, 499.
Yeah.
K. So the balance is now shifted. It's going to be like 499K is going to be on their side of the channel, and 1K is going to be on my side of the channel now. That makes sense.
Yes, but the sats are in the channel.
Yes, correct.
They belong to who?
Well, the channel is collaboratively owned by my node and the voltage node. We both collaboratively own this channel, and we have this agreement that says that 1,000 sats in the channel belongs to my node, and 499K belongs to their node.
So I'm just trying to wrap my head around it. So if they fronted the 500,000 sats, every time you get something in, they kind of take their portion out so that it still always has 500.
Yeah.
Just a portion of it is yours. So there.
Yep.
Is that what you guys say rebalancing?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I like to think of a channel. Some people like to think of it as like an abacus, the abacus counter.
Right.
It's like an abacus. You have, and each channel is like a rod on the abacus, and you have the beads, and you slide along. And so, let's just say there's 50 beads when they just to a similar 5 number. There's they open a channel with me on the abacus, and there's 50 beads on voltage's side of the abacus, and then we're going to take one bead. So that I had an invoice for one bead, somebody paid it, so one bead goes over to my side of the abacus now.
Okay. So we'll try to so they put in 500 sats. Let's say you put in 250. Now each side of the channel has 250 and 250, right?
Yes, dual funded channels are like kind of a more experimental thing, but yeah, theoretically, yes.
So when the channel is used by other people, there's fees involved.
Mm-hmm.
And the fees go to, they're prorated based on liquidity.
Fees are whoever, like if I run a node, I get to choose the fees that I charge on that channel. So.
But you're running a node now, right?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I had that question in the last meetup. For
Uh-huh.
example, Doe and I have a channel together. So if the fee, and I was asking, so if we get a transaction and we got the transaction fee, who gets the transaction fee? And it's from where the transaction is coming. If the transaction was routed from his node, he's getting that transaction. If it's coming from my node, I'm getting the transaction fee.
Okay. So if it comes in on his side, he gets the whole fee.
Yes. The Bitcoin moves through the channel
Right.
from one node to another one, but the fee is not that you split the fee for both. Okay, it's from where it's coming.
Now, how does voltage put 500,000 sats in, right? And how are they being compensated for putting that 500,000 sats in?
Well, every time I receive a payment, they're going to charge a routing fee to get it to me. So, like Nitesh, in order to send me that 100,000 sats, he actually paid more than that.
Right.
He paid a fee to every single node along the path that it took to get to
I
me.
paid 2 sats.
Nice.
Sats.
So it was probably like 1 sat for each hop or something.
Probably.
Yeah. So his node probably paid 1 sat to a node to get to voltage, to send it to voltage, and then another sat to voltage to get it to me.
And that's one of, correct me if I'm wrong, and that's one of the reasons why your node, your node needs to have more channels, right? Because if not, you're gonna get everything through voltage to you, but you need something that comes through you to voltage, right?
Yeah, well, what I need.
In order to get those peaks.
Yeah, what I need now is I need a channel, like an outbound channel. So if I want to, like, it just depends on what you want to use your node for. Like right now, let's say all I want to do is receive. Well, I'm fine with this one channel. Like,
But I think he's talking about
the routing
of getting money.
yeah, so if you want to be a routing node, yeah, you definitely need more than one channel. But there's things you can do, like just like, so we can explore this more like in depth some other time. But I'll show you. Like there's this website I like called LightningNetwork.plus, and what this does is this lets you do kind of like with other just kind of pleb Lightning node operators, you can basically do these liquidity swaps with people. And so like, let me see if I can find an example of it. Yeah, so there's this person here. So if we wanted to, we could join this one of these things going on. So this is this person wants to do a triangle capacity, 10 million sats, and there's 2 of 3 available. So what's going to happen is we can view this, and basically what we're talking about with a triangle is there's node A, there's actually it looks like there's only one person in this right now. So basically what they want to do is they want to get 3 Lightning node operators to agree to open channels with each other. So it's like node A will open a channel to B, B will open a channel to C, and C will open a channel back to A. And that way it creates this really good path of liquidity in the shape of a triangle. These 3 nodes are always connected, and they know that they can send liquidity between each other. And so I can like basically log into the site and I can like apply to join. It's like, yes, I want to join this triangle. And there's nothing guaranteeing that they're going to open the channels, but most people are pretty good on the website because they want to have a good reputation. So this is a really good way to get inbound and outbound with people as well. You can also go into Amboss too. Like you can look for, if you want to open channels, you can go to Amboss and like find, what is it? It's called Magma. And like you can, if you want to buy Lightning channels, you can like get an offer for one, or you can see other people that are, buying and selling channels. So, yeah, I mean, it gets really in depth. You can go pretty wild with it, but that might be too deep for today. But
Also, like you build a channel that has a lot of liquidity, you can actually sell it. The market can sell it.
yeah, so like what it is like, let's say I run a really big node and my node has a lot of connections. Like I'm a well-connected node. So I can talk to a lot of other nodes on the network because my Lightning node has so many channels. Well, you might be like, okay, I want to open a channel to your node, Stephen, so that I can get to the rest of the Lightning network through your node. And so then you would want me to open a channel to you. So yeah, you could actually pay me like a fee. Like I might say like, okay, I'll open a 500K channel with you for 1,000 sats or something. And you're kind of buying inbound liquidity.
Is there like a chat for all channels?
What do you mean a chat for all channels?
Way to real-time communicate.
You know what they said was gossip or something?
Yeah, so like under the hood, all the Lightning nodes are constantly gossiping with each other. Yeah, they're sharing what they know about the channels. Like, hey, I've got a channel with Nitesh and Jordan, and then Jordan's node is like, hey, I've got a channel, with
So
Ivan.
all the message board are behind just one-offs.
Got it. So you're talking not really on the node layer, but more on like the human layer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think Amboss would be that's basically Amboss. It's like people like all these things here are like advertisements that people are posting about their nodes and stuff like that.
You go to the top.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first one, it says prime fast. It's like, how much is the node? I'm just curious. Just because you can buy the node, right? Or you can buy the channel or something.
This person is making an offer, I believe, they have an offer here for a channel that's 0.1 BTC. I think that's what it's saying. I don't use this feature that much, so
So they're offering to sell it?
Yes, they're offering, I will open a channel with you for a fee.
For the $3,000 for a tenth of a Bitcoin, right? Is that the price?
I honestly, I don't.
Oh, okay.
I don't use this enough to where I'm a little lost. I was just saying it's a thing that some people do, but I'm a little lost, to be honest. I'm not gonna pretend like I know it. My usual preferred way of doing it is just usually something like Lightning Network Plus and doing a triangle thing. I'm just saying some people use Amboss, yeah. I mean, a better example would be something like here, ellenbig.com.
But each node to open channels will have their requirements. Like for example, you cannot open a channel with somebody if they have a requirement. You need to have like 1 Bitcoin or more. If they're not putting that, they are not opening the channel to you.
Here's a better way of looking at it. This is much more clear and understandable to me than Amboss. Amboss has a prettier website, but this is simpler and more understandable. Ellen Big, whoever they are, they run a ton of huge Lightning nodes. You can purchase an inbound channel from them, kind of like how we got the channel from Voltage, but you can purchase one of any amount from like Ellen Big. So I could have this slider here. God damn fucking art browser. Love it some days. Other days I hate it. So I can say, what do I want the capacity of the channel to be? And I can just go to the slider and it's like, okay, I want the biggest channel in the world. I want like if I want a channel, like let's say I expect to be selling a lot of stuff on my website. I want a huge channel. I want like a 50 million sat channel. I'm going to pay $36 for it or 121 sats, but I'll have a ton of liquidity, right? So if I really, really need a channel with inbound liquidity, I can just pay Ellen Big for it. And they'll tell me the fees. Here's the terms, 1 month minimum, use the channel. If I'm not using the channel, they're going to close it on me.
That could be very lucrative then for like $36 to get a significant amount of liquidity.
Absolutely. Especially like I said, if you like know, like I'm about to, put a new product on my store and I think it's going to go crazy and people are going to start buying it, you want to have the liquidity. So I just said, okay, I agree to all that. And then it gives me this invoice. And so I'm going to, this is a HODL invoice. Funds will be taken only after successful channel opening service. So I'm going to go ahead and pay the invoice and pay the fee, and then they're going to open a channel to me. So
one-time fee.
Yep, one-time fee. Now, there is going to be a routing fee on the channel, but it's
pretty low. Their fees
yeah.
are not too high. Their fees are pretty low.
So Ellen Big probably makes more money by selling the channels to begin with, and then charges minor fees on the routing. So, yeah. Well, anyways, I think I'm happy to keep answering questions because if everybody's interested, I might go ahead though and just kill the stream because since we're just kind of chatting now and stuff. I just want to go and surface this real quick. Gray mentioned Sati, he works for Strike. So Strike is focused on leveraging the Lightning Network for everyday purchases, transactions, remittances. Cash App is focused on saving, earning rewards, and Bitcoin has enabled Lightning withdrawals. At least that's my understanding. Just wanted to make sure, since we were talking about this company, wanted to surface his perspective on that. Okay, cool. I'm going to go ahead. Thanks so much, everyone online who joined. We're going to go ahead and kill the stream here, but so glad that you joined us, and we'll catch you later. Okay, end broadcast.